Hey everyone, this is a late live stream, but I wanted to get out the information that others are afraid to report, which is that the Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas, UNLV Stadium project is not going to make the much talked about June 20th, 2020 deadline. It's just not going to happen. The project is already 5 months and counting behind schedule. And you don't have to wait for the Stadium Authority or Clark County Commissioner Steve Sisolak to tell you that. All you have to do is go back and look at the original stadium project timeline to know that. If you paid attention to this story to this point, it's a fair chance you will remember that all final project documents were to be finished by October of 2017. That's 5 months ago. Really, the date was October 17th. That included not just the infrastructure development agreement, but the stadium development agreement and the community benefits plan. Las Vegas Stadium Authority Chairman and President Stephen Hill had said way back in March of last year, when the Stadium Authority meetings were just getting underway, that they were on a fast track and they would have to do a lot in just a few short months to get all the necessary documents written, reviewed, and signed by October. Everyone knew that. So let's take stock of where we are. The idea among Las Vegas residents is that the stadium is under construction. And when you talk to them, as I have, as I did when I was back in Las Vegas for CES 2018, they'll tell you, well, it was the groundbreaking. The groundbreaking, they're underway and they're building it because they had the groundbreaking. It's amazing how many people actually fall for that. It really worked. The whole deal about the groundbreaking, hey, it really worked, okay? But the reality is this. The Raiders have only three activities, primary activities going on the site right now. First of all, they're moving in portables which will create the construction office complex. It's about 100,000 square feet. Then they're basically digging a new channel drainage ditch tunnel to effectively replace, or if you like, move the drainage tunnel that roughly bisects the north end of the property. And then they've taken upon themselves the process of exploding or caliche on the property, which is just below the soil and all over the place. Caliche is a very hard material that if you don't break through it, you cannot build the caissons and roof supports that will allow you to build the structure and then lay the concrete for the seat sections for the stadium. None of that can happen without the ability to pound down through that caliche, and to do so, it's got to be exploded. But those are the only three primary activities going on as I speak, and for a very good reason. The Raiders don't have any money to build it. People just don't get that. They don't have the money. I'm not saying the Raiders are broke. What I'm saying is that the deal structure has not advanced to where the Raiders can get that money. Now, what do I mean by what might sound like gobbledygook? Very simple. The Raiders and the Stadium Authority for Las Vegas have to have what's called a guaranteed maximum price done, which they're supposed to have done by February, okay? And that guaranteed maximum price, once done, would then be part of the final stadium development agreement between the Raiders and the Las Vegas Stadium Authority. Now, if you're confused and you say, wait a minute, they just approved the development agreement at Clark County Board of Commissioners. No, that was the infrastructure development agreement. That's why I was asking Mark Bedane for the clarification that I knew already existed. In other words, that was just for who's responsible for putting in improvements to streets and roads around the stadium, highway interchanges, and so on. That's what that was all about. That was between Clark County and the Raiders, as Raiders are what's called STADCO, Stadium Corporation. That was not between the Raiders and the Stadium Authority, the drawing up the full development agreement of what the stadium itself would consist of and look like. Two different agreements. The point is, only one of those agreements, the infrastructure one, has been done by Clark County and approved by the Stadium Authority. But the big deal, the development agreement, that has to have the guaranteed maximum price. Now, until the development agreement and then the guaranteed maximum price are done, and the Raiders sign the non-relocation agreements, two of them, they can't get the $750 million from, at least it would actually come in tranches, not in one big check, but from the bond underwriters, who are bond underwriters are salespeople, charged with selling the serial bonds that will form essentially the loan that the Raiders are getting from Clark County based on the stadium hotel tax. All right, that money will be delivered in tranches once those bonds are sold. But guess what? Those bonds haven't been sold because they haven't even been approved by Clark County for sale. Mark Bedane, at the January 11th meeting that I attended, said that he had hoped to start the bond sale process in April of this year, okay? And then something funny happened on the way to the bank. What happened was that because of the incredible racially charged political rancor surrounding the community benefits agreement and the committee that is to be formed associated with it, the previously planned extra meeting that was to be held on January 25th was canceled. That was canceled. That sent everyone scrambling. The stadium development agreement that they said was to be introduced was never introduced. And get this, folks, it wasn't really the development agreement that was the issue, because in the original agenda for the January 25th meeting, there was no link to a stadium development agreement draft document. It wasn't there. The real story was the racially charged, I'm saying this again, the racially charged political controversy over who gets to sit on the committee associated with the community benefits plan. That was really what it was. Even though the Stadium Authority tried to put out this neat cover story that, well, you know, the development agreement's not ready and we wanted to like wait. Nah, that's not it. That's not it. What they were trying to do was take everyone's gaze off the ugly politics that was bubbling up to the surface and has bubbled up to the surface. So in canceling that meeting, not only was the process of approving the development agreement pushed back now to March 1st, but also the still not signed, sealed, and completely delivered UNLV joint use agreement. Yes, UNLV regents have approved it, but it was to go to the stadium authority for approval. That's not done. It is expected that that will be taken care of on the meeting to be held on the 25th of February. But get this, folks, given the current political situation, there's no guarantee we're going to have that meeting either. I'm not saying it's certainly that they're going to cancel it, but given what happened with the last meeting and no word that the politics have been cleared up, in fact, I'm told there may be a lawsuit on the way. How do we know that we're going to see a February 25th meeting? What all of this means is that the bond sale that Mark Bourdain wanted for April may very well have to be pushed back to May. Right now, we've got actually four meetings. We have February 25th, a special meeting for March 1st. Then we've got another meeting for March 15th. And then we have April 15th and we have May 10th. That's the set. The deadline by which all of these documents have to be done, 14 primary, 32 total, or for the most part, all the 14 primary documents must be done by May 16th of this year. If they're not done, then UNLV President Lynn Jessup can, if he chooses to do so, petition both the governor's office and the stadium authority and say, we want to take over the project, creating what's called a campus improvement district. The subsidy would be reduced from $750 million to $500 million. The hotel tax rate will be cut to 1/2 of 1%, as opposed to 88/100ths of 1%. And the project will continue on with UNLV as the sole beneficiary of the works. That's the way Section 38 of the Southern Nevada Tourism and Investment Act is written. Now, will Lynn Jessup do that? It's another question. But right now, that is the situation. And the overarching fact is that you can forget 2020. You can kiss it, or as the Giants announcer used to say, tell it goodbye. You're not going to see it. 2021 is a possibility, but 2022 is far more realistic. That's where the situation sits right now. And you would ask me, well, Zinni, how much more will the project be delayed by? And I'm going to say right now, it's 5 months. Can it stretch out an extra month? It looks like it can. When will all of this abate is uncertain, because there's also the matter of the weak revenue from the stadium hotel tax rate of 88/100ths of 1% that I've talked about before, and that Jeremy Arguello had said they would keep an eye on. That flow is crucial to being able to maintain the argument that the Raiders Stadium would be paid for strictly from the public perspective by the hotel tax. Right now, only 1 month, that was last March, at $5 million, was sufficient to cover the debt service on a, let alone $750 million bond issue, a $700 million bond issue at 30 years at 4% interest at LIBOR. Plus 1.5 to 1 debt coverage. In other words, the debt service of $3.3 million a year times 1.5. That gets you the hurdle rate, the hurdle number that a monthly revenue from the stadium tax needs to clear in order to be able to say, hey, look, we can afford a $700 million bond issue. If they can't afford that, then what happens is that the money that's needed would have to come from the general fund of Clark County. Why? Because it's written as a general obligation bond. It's not a revenue bond. I've said this before, and I'll say this again. the Nevada taxpayer was tricked, bamboozled, and at the end of the day, basically forced to accept a situation where a significant amount of their tax dollars that would normally go to education will be used for this stadium project because the Southern Nevada Tourism and Infrastructure Committee that was formed by Nevada Governor Brian Sandoval did not have the guts to approve a tax rate sufficient enough to prevent cutting into the Clark County General Fund to make up for what the stadium tax would not bring in. So we already had that problem, and then on top of that was the horrible events of 1 October, which have helped or caused the reduction in visitors to Las Vegas, on top of another problem that no one talks about, the homeless problem and the high housing cost problem in California, a major deliverer of tourists to Las Vegas, which then retard their ability to spend money in Las Vegas for everything from gambling to hotels. Staycations are more the thing to do. But no one's actually done a study to determine exactly how much, to what degree that problem has hurt Las Vegas. But I can tell you, it has definitely hurt Las Vegas. And it's not just California. Nationwide, the number of homeless has increased to levels not seen since 2010. They may well be above them. All this works hand in hand. And the bottom line is that the timing of all of these events with respect to the objective of doing the stadium project could not have been worse. And that's where we are right now. So I didn't make this live stream to have a great exchange, but to really get this information out. I will talk to you all. My next live stream will be tomorrow from San Francisco International Airport. And I may have a live stream midday regarding the Super Bowl and one other issue in Oakland. That's up in the air right now. But I bid everyone adieu and good night. And I ask you to please, if you don't do anything else, read the Southern Nevada Tourism and Infrastructure Act